let's get to our first email of the day. And our first email today comes to us from Darren Uyen, who writes, "Greetings, gentlemen. I guess we all sort of saw it coming, but it looks official now. The Oscars will have no host. It's a shame because I was looking forward to Kevin Hart, and I sort of thought after his appearance on Ellen it might still happen. Do you think this is a matter of them just wanting to change it up, or do you think this is just plain old they couldn't find anybody willing to host it this year? Thanks, and as we say on Arrakis, the filthy must flow." Robert, after we talked about this for a little bit, we thought maybe there might have been a glimmer of possibility once, Kevin Hart did that appearance on Ellen. Apparently that's not happening. Do you think this is a matter of them going, you know what, let's try something different and not have a host? Or do you think this is a matter of we've called everybody in the Rolodex and nobody's willing to host? What do you lean towards here?
Well, look, I think it's a combination of both. I mean, we live in a society now where people are going to get pilloried for things they did 5, 10, 20. How many years ago are we going to go back? Is everybody squeaky clean? Is everyone's past 100% snowflaked out? I mean, we live in a very complex world. And, comedy per se can be very bawdy, very off color. It frequently uses stereotypes for good or bad, but to shine a light on our society. And you go back to even Lenny Bruce, who really broke a lot of ground with some really edgy comedy back in the late 50s and early 60s. If we're gonna go after people like this, we're gonna live in a world where no one is gonna want to participate in anything. Whether now it's the Oscar hosts, but what if it's politics? What if somebody is really qualified but has maybe a skeleton in their closet that someone's going to go unearth from 20 years ago? We might be losing great people who are going to go on and do great things because they fear the public spotlight. And I hope this isn't a portent of things to come because, and look, did what Kevin Hart say, was it appropriate? Probably not. But is comedy appropriate? And how many times does he have to apologize? I mean, it's rough. And now we're not going to have hosts for the Oscars. I love hosts for the Oscars.
Yeah, me too.
And I think it's sad.
Yeah, I think I 100% lean towards this is a matter that nobody wanted to do it. I mean, just plain old, flat out, nobody wants to do this job. Yeah, exactly, because everybody now knows if I accept this gig, if I go on this show and I take this job, what is going to happen now is every 2-bit online blogger is going to dig and try to find anything that I might have even said out of pace or whatever 15 years ago, and then the outrage culture is going to kick in and I'm going to get lambasted for it. Now, look, I am in no way, shape, or form, nor will I ever defend what Kevin Hart, the jokes he made. But the fact of the matter is, they were jokes he made 15 years ago or 10 years ago. He understood, he grew and learned, hey, that wasn't appropriate. I shouldn't have said that. And I'm going to change my comedy. And I'm not going to do that anymore. And he stopped doing it. I don't know. And I think that's really what it comes down to. Now, everybody's looking at this stuff. And look, we're coming right off the heels of the James Gunn stuff and all those kind of things. These guys now are looking at this sort of thing and thinking, nah, I don't want to put myself under the spotlight like that, and I'm not going to do it. Now, how's this going to work out for the Oscars? I don't know. I really love having a host, even when I hated the hosts.
Right.
Even when I hated James Franco and
Rob Lowe's Snow White number.
Oh gosh. Even when I've hated the hosts for the Oscars, I like that there is a host for the Oscars.
I do too.
The fact that we're not going to get an opening monologue for the Oscars. I still remember Steve Martin's opening monologue that one year he did the Oscars right after Billy Crystal did. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen.
It's really funny.
It was really great, and I love seeing stuff like that. But now you're also at the same thing. We saw it in the Golden Globes. Nobody wants to say anything anymore. Nobody, and I think, look, what we do as human beings, and I know I do this as well, when we see the pendulum swing too far one way and to a place it shouldn't be, we sometimes, unfortunately, trying to course correct, we sometimes will then swing the pendulum too far the other way. And then what we normally do in our society is that the pendulum keeps going back and forth, and then we find that middle ground.
Right.
And unfortunately, right now, we're just not in that spot, and it looks like we're going to have an Oscars without a host because nobody wants to do it. And maybe that'll change at some point, and maybe it'll still work out fine, who knows. But they're saying that we're going to get a bunch of A-list celebrities to do little segments. They didn't announce who any of these so-called big A-list celebrities are
Sure.
because I still think they're going to have a hard time finding people to do that. But who knows?